Launch day for Breath of the Wild's sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, is just months away. By this point, with the original game's marketing push, we'd had the original announcement teaser from E3 2014, a small gameplay showcase at the Game Awards that same year, a little clip of Link riding a horse, the E3 2016 trailer and huge amount of gameplay footage, the Life in the Ruins trailer, and a massive number of teaser screenshots and developer interviews. Compare that to what we've seen by the same point for Tears of the Kingdom. A cryptic announcement teaser, the E3 2021 trailer, the tiny delay announcement clip, and the most recent trailer at the end of last year. Not only have we seen far less of this game, everything we have seen is incredibly cryptic. Aside from the major things, that Ganondorf is back, that Link's right arm is changed somehow by mysterious magic, and that he'll ascend to the skies above Hyrule and explore heavenly floating islands, we know next to nothing about the game's story, or how the game will differ from Breath of the Wild. But one of Tears of the Kingdom's biggest mysteries has been staring us in the face ever since the very beginning of the very first trailer. The symbols. Every Tears of the Kingdom trailer has featured strange symbols, characters apparently spelling something out in a language we can't understand. The reveal trailer shows eerie green-blue energy spiraling out from the hand holding Ganondorf's body and weaving into symbols. As soon as this trailer was released, everyone scrambled to try and translate this new language. It was suggested that the symbols could be Gerudo script, and the symbols here were even supposedly translated to read Seal Ganon. And on the surface, this would make sense. What language other than Gerudo would you expect to emanate from the body of the Gerudo King? And though we aren't clear on the details of what is happening to Ganondorf here, it certainly looks like some sort of seal. However, the more you look, the less it seems like these letters are Gerudo, let alone that this sequence spells out Seal Ganon. It's only this one symbol, that looks more like a Gerudo J than an S, that appears to match out of all of the shapes that form in the green energy. Nothing in the rest of the spiral seems to match this language, making its resemblance more likely to be a coincidence than anything else. The text is constantly forming and breaking apart, so it's very difficult to determine what, if any, of the spiraling energy is meant to be symbols. The opening of the trailer definitely suggests that there is writing of some sort, and the energy does weave itself into repeated sequences, with branched ends and swirls. There's also this symbol, formed and reformed throughout the spiral, that looks a lot like a serpent or dragon. But ultimately, it's too difficult to pick out the writing. They just move and change too much. Luckily, it was only 2 years until we saw more of the game, when things got even less clear. The symbols that appear in subsequent trailers are different. They're carved rather than formed from threads of energy. We see symbols on the ground in this shot in the E3 2021 trailer, here in the delay announcement clip, symbols on the carvings in the most recent trailer, on these giant doors, even in the game's logo and on the back of Link's new hand, highlighted best by a promotional statue of Link shown off in Tokyo. And perhaps because they're carved, these symbols are a lot more angular and defined than those seen in the green energy. Outside of a few vague similarities, we can't match any of the new symbols to the old. So the mystery deepens. Not only is the language from the first trailer indecipherable, we now have another set of symbols we can't read, one that looks different enough to be a separate language entirely. Of course, these symbols could mean nothing. Decorative scripts that don't translate to anything are rare in Zelda games, but they do exist, like the Gerudo script found throughout the Arbiter's Grounds in Twilight Princess. But I don't think that this is the case here. We can see examples of the same symbols repeated in different places, arranged together in ways that clearly suggest they're text, not just decoration. This new language, or languages, could be a similar case to ancient Sheikah script, which is found everywhere throughout Breath of the Wild. E3 2016 showed off a huge amount of these characters, which was enough for fans to begin to piece together their meanings. Sheikah language in Breath of the Wild can be directly translated to English. We just needed to see enough words to decipher which character translated as which letter. So it could be possible to translate Tears of the Kingdom symbols directly to English in much the same way, but we just haven't seen enough of them yet. For months, this has been the goal of the subreddit TOTKLang, where a small community has been trying to piece together the meaning behind these characters. There's been a huge amount of work done to try and map out the symbols seen throughout the trailers. Some of these characters are clear and well defined, while others are only spotted in very low resolutions, so are more difficult to trace. Including the symbol found on Link's hand, there's somewhere around 20 unique characters we can see, which the community has assigned names to based on what they seem to depict, like farmer, apple, deer, or owl. Many of these symbols are repeated. In fact, here, entire lines of symbols are repeated almost exactly. It's not clear how they should be read, horizontally or vertically, starting on the left or the right. But the main problem is that there just isn't enough of them. If, like Breath of the Wild's ancient Sheikah, we saw this language used extensively and in context, we'd be in a better position to guess at the meaning of symbols and piece together a translation. But as it stands, either the few examples of the text we see isn't enough, or the translation is much more complicated than that. Like the ancient Sheikah language, this new script seems to be the lost language of an ancient people. There are multiple strong connections between Tears of the Kingdom and the Zonai, a mysterious, magical civilization who vanished thousands of years before Breath of the Wild, leaving behind only ruins. Signs of their architecture are present not only in the caves deep below Hyrule, but also in the skies, where Zonai-esque dragon statues can be seen. So this language might be related to the Zonai, but even if it isn't, it's still apparent that Tears of the Kingdom will deal with a lost, ancient civilization. Someone built these sky islands, and someone was involved with whatever has happened to Ganondorf deep underground. And this language might reveal who. Whether or not the script seen in the green energy is different to the carved symbols, both seem to be closely connected to ancient civilizations. And just like how the Zelda team took inspiration from real-world ancient architecture, like the Mesoamerican feathered serpent design for Zonai and Sky Island statues, they might have based this new script on real-world ancient languages. The carved script appears to be logographic, like the earliest writing systems in our world. The characters could be abstract illustrations of things, like people on the subreddit have suggested, like a farmer and his tool, a deer looking up, or a rabbit. Like the evolution of most ancient languages, these symbols would have become increasingly stylized over time. The script bears strong resemblances to many real-world ancient languages. In particular, Oracle Bone Script, a very early form of Chinese characters, and Seal Script, its successor, though it could also have been based on ancient Mesopotamian and Egyptian languages, pictograms that have been stylized into symbols for runes or letters. The script in the green energy, due to its flowing movement, looks more similar to something like Hieratic, an ancient Egyptian language, except for that little dragon. Although the symbols seem to be inspired by ancient writing, I don't think they'd be read the same way. Logographic languages tend to have hundreds or thousands of different symbols, but we see the same few symbols repeated everywhere, much like you'd expect vowels to be if each symbol could be directly translated to an English letter. Or, like some people suggest, translated as Ramaji pairs. Zoesaurus Rex analysed the weighting of the symbols, concluding that it most likely translated into Ramaji, with which she comes up with some fascinating translations. She's gone into meticulous detail, and I've linked her Reddit post in the description, but even she notes that there is some uncertainty. The method, as in-depth as it is, necessarily involves a lot of guesswork, and ultimately, we can't be sure that it's correct until we see more symbols. It seems that whatever method you use, right now the sample size is just too small. Or perhaps it's even deliberately impossible to decipher right now. Last time, a huge effort went into deciphering the Sheikah letters on the tapestry scroll when Reggie showed off the full artwork for the first time, which were transcribed, translated into Japanese and then to English to reveal a summary of the game's backstory that we didn't know at the time. Maybe these symbols do hide little lore secrets that can be translated. We'll hopefully know more in the next trailer. But it's also possible that these can't be deciphered. They could also just be placeholder textures used during development or made specifically for the trailer, deliberately designed to prevent the community from reading them. Perhaps we're lacking some key information that would unlock the mystery of the symbols, so I can't wait to see more. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like or subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. I've also enabled channel memberships, so if you'd like to support the channel financially, check that out for benefits like seeing videos early. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.